Hey everyone, this is Lisa from the Rhinestone World, and in this video we're going to be making custom signs to hang on doors using these little panels and FDC sign vinyl from the Rhinestone World. So I have my Silhouette Studio open. I'm going to set up my first design. This is going to go on my pineapple. So this is about 5.5 inches wide. I'm going to make my design about 4.5 inches wide to fit in there but not have too much space right on the edge. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to use my text tool and I'm going to type out my first part. So I'll type out crafting and I'll do Control A to select all the text in here. And I'm going to use a font called Amatic. And then I'll do the bold version. So now we have crafting, and I'll fill it in to make it easier to see. So you can see we have crafting right here. And then I'm going to do my text tool again and type in progress, do Control A to select all of it, and I'm going to use a font called Salt and Spices Pro, and then also do the bold version. That way it makes it a little bit easier when we cut. We don't have to worry about the thinner lines in it. And I'll go ahead and set this how I like it. Let's make this a little bit larger. And because I am using a script font, I want to weld it. Right now my letters are overlapping, so if I were to cut it right now, it's going to cut the overlap in the letters, and I don't want that. So let's go to Modify, Weld, and now you can see that there are 3 boxes in here. Because the in and the progress were not actually touching, they're not grouped together. So I'll do Control G to group it together. And now I just need to do a couple last edits. I'm going to select both of these, go to my line panel, I'm going to align it in the center. And I always like, once I'm done, I make everything one big object if it cuts together. So I'm going to take both of these, go do Control E, make compound path. And this way I can get an accurate representation of how wide this is. And now I just need to go ahead and size it. So you can see my design right here is 4.935 inches. I'll go to my scale panel here, and I'm just going to type in the dimensions I want it to be. Now I'm going to make sure I lock the aspect because I don't want it to be distorted. So we'll do 4.5, and you can see that it also changed my height. I'll hit apply, and now I'm all set here. So the last thing I'm going to do is draw a box around it to make it easier to weed. Then set it up in the corner of my workspace. Now I will not be using a cutting mat, so I have right here in my design page settings, cutting mat none. Now if you are using a cutting mat with the Cameo 3, just make sure that you turn on cutting mat here. Otherwise you will cut into your mat itself instead of the material. And then my second design I have right here, out to lunch. I just have my weeding box here, which is set to 8 inches by 10 inches. And then I also have my design set up in here. All I did was 2 lines of text, and then I just did a subtract of an offset on here. So we're all set to cut. I'm going to go ahead and go to my cut settings. So let's go right here. We'll go to cut settings. Now all of these lines I'm going to cut because the outside one that represents my box is also going to be my weed box. So we'll go right here, tool 1 because we're using the Cameo 3, and I'm going to go over to my pre-programmed FDC setting and then just double check everything. I have my automatic blade set, so I can send it to my cutter and then I'll be ready to weed and apply it. Okay, so here are my 2 decals that I cut out. You can see that they weeded out nicely. Even this really tiny script font I was able to weed out with no problems. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up my design with my transfer tape. So I'll start with this one. First thing I'm going to do is just get rid of this extra. So I'm going to take it, cut down here, and then I'll cut this here. Now this vinyl on the side is still pretty good for scrap use. You can still get a good amount of work done with that. So I'm just going to save it and then peel this up here. Easy. Now I need to bring my tape over to get a good pickup on this. So to figure out how much transfer tape I need, I'm going to take it off the roll and get the non-sticky side and bring it on top. That way I can test to see how big it is and it's not sticking to my decal. So that's all good, and now I can bring this up and cut it. So we're all set there. Now there are 2 ways that you can apply your tape. You can do a horseshoe or you can go from the side. Either one will be fine. I like to do a horseshoe for decal vinyl. And now we're just going to take our scraper and make sure we get our tape down really well on this. You want to make sure you really scrape this because this is how you transfer your vinyl. I mean, that's why it's called transfer tape. So you want to make sure you get it really well. And now here's our second one. Go ahead and cut this one. And we'll take this side off. And then we'll cut a piece of tape as well. Now I'm going to cut this off and put it on a piece of wax paper or something because I can use this for something later. Now you can get a whole roll of this R tape for $30 or $40 and it lasts a really long time. So if you're not going to use it sometime soon, I would just kind of leave it, but that's really up to you. So here's the first side I'm going to apply to. Now you can see that this side has junk on it, so I want to apply to this side. There's one little hang up is that I have this string here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little decal, I'm going to cut down here so I can fit the string through there. So now I have it set and I can kind of work around it. Now we're going to peel it up. Nothing's left on there, so we're all good. Now this part's kind of tricky. I'm going to apply the top part first. And now reach through and just kind of do that. Oops, I don't want that string there. So you can see it's a little bit crooked. Not a big deal though. Now we're going to apply it on here. And your design will come up with the tape a little bit, so it'll help you readjust a bit. Now we're just going to burnish it on here. Alright, so now we can lift. You can see you have a hard time. This is more of a textured chalkboard too, so you're going to have a little bit of a tougher time getting this to stay. If you have vinyl coming up like this, it helps if you peel your tape up pretty horizontally. That way you're lifting the tape off the vinyl, you're not lifting the vinyl like up on the vinyl, which is what gives you that strain. And now this part's going to give me a hard time because of the string. So now I'm just holding back on the string while I peel this tape up. Okay. So now we have our first sign. I was able to put it on with the string on there, so I didn't have to do multiple cuts. I could just do one. And here is my second sign. This one will be a lot easier. Just going to peel it up. Find your placement. Now we'll smooth it on. You can see the little tiny bit of my end came off. So it's such a tiny little piece of vinyl. But no problem. We have both signs. These were both purchased. I think both of these were from Target at some point. This is our FDC vinyl. This is the 4200 series in crystal white. And then we also have the 4200 series in Kelly green. So both of these projects can be easily done. So if you have any other questions, you can email us at info@therhinestoneworld.com. Hey everyone. If you want to use the materials in this video, this is our FDC 4200 sign vinyl in crystal white. This is the same vinyl in Kelly green. And both of these colors of vinyl can be purchased on our website at therhinestoneworld.com.